Don't put the chock all the way under. Nope. Leave it about 3/4 of the way out. No, push it out towards the outside of the tire. Put it right up against the tire, leave it 3/4 of the way out. A little bit more. Yep, now push it right up against the tire. So to push it out a little bit more. Right up against the tire, but bring it out a little bit more. So the reason you do that is because when you release the brakes on this, it's going to roll up on that chock. You want to have something that you can kick so you can kick the chock out when you have to. If you got it stuffed all the way under there, you're not going to kick it. Now you got to back it up to get it out. All right. The back one, it don't matter over here. On test day, leave them both the same amount of space out.
Okay.
Because that over there is a little different than it is over here. This is all downhill over here. All right. So got in my truck, 3 points of contact. Putting on my seatbelt. Gonna release my spring brakes. Now I'm gonna turn the key to on position to reset my gauges. Waiting for the 3 beeps. 1, 2, 3. And why is it doing that? All right, 3. Gauges are reset. My air pressure is below 100, so I have to start I have to safe start my vehicle to rebuild air pressure. Man, I'm fucking hot. I'm going to assist in rebuilding air pressure going no more than 1200 RPMs. So you get on the throttle, bump it up to 12 and hold it at 12. While it's building, you're going to tell them at 100 my governor will kick on. At 120 my governor will kick off, and my air dryer will kick out moisture indicating my tanks are full. Now you're going to sit here and wait for that air dryer to go psh.
That AC feels amazing right now.
Doesn't it though? You can roll that window up if you want. Only need one window open. So, I safe started the truck because we were below 100. You heard me say that. If your air pressure is above 100 when you turn the truck on initially, you're not going to restart the truck. You're going to go right to your initial air loss. But because we were below 100, I had to start it up to rebuild air pressure. All right.
So what was the reason again for pushing in the brakes before you turned it on?
To release the spring brakes.
Okay.
So that you can do your test. Because with those buttons out, you can't do your initial air loss. Because you can't, air dryer kicked out, moisture tanks are full. You can't step on that brake with the buttons out. If you step on that brake with the buttons out, you're compounding the brakes, you instantly fail.
Okay.
So you can't do that, all right? So you push those in, and then you turn the key on to reset your gauges, and then you read your air pressure. If your air pressure is below 100, you're gonna safe start your vehicle to rebuild air pressure. If it's above 100, you're gonna go right to your initial air loss. So air dryer kicked out, moisture tanks are full. Now I'm gonna shut my truck off. So you shut it down, you wait for this to shut off. That means all your gauges shut down. Now I'm going to put my key in the on position to reset my gauges. So you turn it on, you wait for those 3 beeps again. One, 2, 3. Gauges are reset. Now I'm going to do my initial air loss. I'm going to step on my service brake, your brake pedal, and I should lose no more than 5 to 15 PSI. He's listening for 5 to 15 PSI. So you got to make sure you're correct on that. So you step on the brake, make the needle move. You don't have to hammer on it, just step on it. I lost 9 PSI. Now I'm going to continue to hold my brake for 1 minute, and I should lose no more than 4 PSI in that minute. So you hold the brake for 1 minute. Wear a watch on test day. I'm going to tell you this every time I get in the truck with you. There's no guarantee that stopwatch is going to be here. If you count to 60 and you're less than a minute, you will fail. You have to hold the brake for 1 minute. All right? So you just hold the brake. Don't ever take your foot off the pedal. Once you do your initial air loss, you leave it on there until you're done with your 1 minute. "45 seconds.
Should be no more than 4, right?
Yep. My minute's up. I lost no PSI. Tell them how much you lost. If you lost none, tell them you lost none. If you lost 2, tell them you lost 2. Don't say around, don't say about. Tell them the exact number. If you lost more than 4, tell them you lost 4. Because if you lost more than 4, they're not going to let you test in the truck because there's an air leak somewhere. Obviously, it's not bad enough, but it's enough that Dave can say, no, we're not going to take the truck out. Now I'm going to do my initial air loss. Or now I'm going to fan my brakes, and by 55, he's listening for by 55, my low air warning alarm will come on. So you pump the brakes until you hit 60 and then stop, and that alarm will come on. My low air warning came on at 60 PSI. Now I'm going to continue to fan my brakes to between 45 and 20. He's listening for between 45 and 20. Say it in that order because you're fanning down. So now I'm going to continue to fan my brakes to between 45 and 20. My spring brake should apply. So you continue to pump the brakes and you watch your buttons. Do not watch the gauge. That's why you watch the buttons. If you heard that pop, it said my spring brakes applied at 30 PSI. No, they didn't. Only one did. You failed. You keep watching those buttons until both buttons pop out. My spring brakes applied at 20 PSI. Now I'm going to restart my engine. I'm going to assist in building pressure, going no more than 1,200 RPMs. So you bump it up to 12, and you hold it there. When that alarm shuts off, tell them where it shut off at. Each line is 10, so 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So when it shuts off, tell them what line it's at. Keep your foot on the pedal, don't take it off like I just did. My low air warning alarm shut off at 70 PSI. Now I'm going to continue to build until my air dryer kicks out moisture.
Do I always stop when the moisture is let go? Or
so as soon as you hear that air dryer go, psh, you take your foot off the pedal. Tanks are full. Now I'm going to shut my truck off, key in hand. Do it as you're saying it. I'm going to shut my truck off, key in hand. I'm going to exit 3 points of contact, and I'm going to unchock my wheels. So you get out backwards. Oh, you don't have to get out. Always come out backwards. Yeah, right?
3 points.
3 points of contact at all time. So once you get down here, you got to take your hand off the steering wheel to step down. Put it on the grab bar to step down. On test day, you're going to close this door. Do not leave it open. I'm going to leave it open so you can hear me. You're going to kick your chocks out. You're going to put them 4 to 5 feet away from the center of your wheel and get back in your truck. The reason you're doing that is so you have a reference point to back up to with your wheel chocks. All right? Also, on test day, don't be a lazy shit like I was just. Pick them up and put them together. Be professional. Be the professional you're trying to become, right? When you're over here and you're practicing, you can kick them out all you want. But on test day, don't be a lazy ass. Pick them up and put them together. Make it look like you're fucking a professional, all right? I'm not a professional. I'm just a professional driver. I don't have to be professional anymore. Getting back in my vehicle, 3 points of contact. Putting on my seatbelt. Now I'm going to put my key in the ignition, turn it to the on position, and reset my gauges. While they're resetting, tell them you're going to do the next part of your brake test. Now I'm going to start the second part of my brake test. I'm going to test my tractor, trailer, trolley, and service brake. That's the order you're testing them in. Tractor, trailer, trolley, service. Or hand brake if you have trouble remembering trolley brake. Tractor, trailer, hand, service brake. Gauges are reset. Those three beeps ended up. So now I'm going to safe start my vehicle. So safe started my vehicle. Now you're going to tell them in this truck, in order to put my vehicle in drive, I have to step on my service brake. So I'm going to release my spring brakes, step on my service brake, put it in drive. Vehicle is in drive. Now I'm going to reapply my spring brakes. Pull the yellow button, count to 2 in your head. 1, 2, take your foot off the brake. That 1, 2 gives your brakes time enough to set so the truck doesn't roll on you. If the truck doesn't roll, if the truck rolls on you and you didn't mean for it to, you're free rolling and they'll fail you for that. So you got to make sure the truck does not roll away on you. All right. So now I'm going to test my tractor brake by releasing my trailer brake. So if you look at the button here, pull to apply, push to release. So you're going to release your trailer brake, give it a little fuel, make it tug. I felt the tug. My tractor brakes are holding. Pull out your trailer brake. Now I'm going to test my trailer brake by releasing my tractor brake. Push in the tractor brake, make it tug. I felt the tug. Tractor brake is holding. Leave this in. Because now I'm going to test my trolley brake by releasing both brakes. This one's already released. Why pull it out just to push it back in, right? So you push it in, pull down on the trolley right away, make it tug. I felt the tug. Trolley brake is holding. Now I'm going to go forward no more than 5 miles per hour to test my service brake. Let go of the trolley brake, let the truck start to roll. Once it starts to roll, give it a little fuel, get it up to no more than 5 miles per hour. He's listening for no more than 5 miles per hour. Service brake is working. My truck did not pull left or right, indicating my brakes are properly adjusted. Now I'm going to check my mirrors for any pedestrians or obstructions behind me. And I'm going to put my vehicle in reverse and back up to my wheel chocks. As you're backing up, watch both mirrors. Let them know that you're trying to be the professional you want to become, and you're making sure nobody's pulling up on either side of your vehicle. When you start to get close to your wheel chocks, then you can look at them in your convex mirror.
Is there a time frame to do the air brakes?
26 minutes to do the whole pre-trip.
26 minutes from front to the back.
From the moment you start the general walk around to the moment you finish with the trailer, 26 minutes. So I put it in neutral, pull the yellow button, count to 2 in my head. 1, 2, put off the brake, I didn't pre-roll. This completes my brake test. Now I'm going to start my in-cab inspection. First thing I'm doing, waiting for that trailer to release its air. First thing I'm doing, I'm listening for any strange noises from the engine. I don't hear any. Now you start up and you come down. My headliner, cubbies, cab lights, leave them on. Visors, dashboard, secure, no obstructions. Cab lights are working. Now you go out and come in. My hood mirrors, windshield, side windows, side mirrors, convex mirrors, rear window, CNN, clean, no cracks, no illegal stickers. He's listening for no illegal stickers because there's not supposed to be any stickers on your windows unless it's a paid-for sticker. Clean, I want you to say clean, so you say clean, no cracks, no illegal stickers. Now you're going to clean your windshield. Wiper and washer working properly. Shut them off. Now you come right here in front of you. My steering wheel has no more than 2 inches of play. City horn, highway horn working properly. Turn on your headlights. My dash lights are all working properly. Now you start with your stick. My left signal, right signal. Turn on your high beams. And my hazards, all working properly. Now I'm going to leave my left signal on and my high beams on for the next part of my pre-trip. Now you start at your gauges. Start at the left on the top and work up, down, all the way across, all right? When you hear that idle shutdown, you hear it beeping and it shows idle shutdown, just give the engine a little rev and it'll stop that. If you don't give the engine the rev, it'll shut down on you and then you gotta reset your gauges all over again. Transmission temperature. All temperature gauges are rising properly. Everything else is working properly with a number or a setting. Your temperature gauges are rising properly. So my transmission temperature gauge is rising properly. My exhaust temperature gauge is rising properly. My oil pressure gauge is working properly between 20 and 40 psi. He's listening for between 20 and 40 psi. Make sure you say it. My coolant temperature gauge is working properly. My DEF gauge, you have a fuel gauge and a DEF gauge. DEF gauge is the one on the left. It's that little black tank over here with the blue cap on it. DEF gauge working properly, reading a half a tank. Tell them what line it's closest to. Right now it's close to the half a tank, so that's what it's reading. My RPM gauge is working properly, reading 650 RPMs. My voltmeter or battery gauge working properly, reading between 12 and 14 volts. Don't tell him what the number is. He's listening for between 12 and 14 volts, all right? My fuel gauge working properly, reading half a tank. My speedometer works properly. We saw this when we pulled forward and did the service brake test, right? You went forward no more than 5 miles an hour, you saw the gauge work. My primary, see the P? Secondary, see the S? P, S. So my primary and secondary air gauges are working properly. We saw this in the air loss test when you drained it down and built it back up. My oil temperature gauge rising properly. Now you're coming to your buttons. You already did this once, so you don't have to do it again. You know it works. My regen button, I'll explain that at a later date. My regen button, my mirror heater, my engine brakes, my speed controls, and my suspension dump button are all working properly. My drive panel and my radio are working properly. My defroster, turn it on defrost, stick your left hand above the vent. My defrost works on hot or cold and hot, high and low, and turn it back to wherever you had it. Now you've been working yourself this way. You got one thing left over here on this side of the truck. My fuse panel.
Fuse panel.
Secure. This is where I keep my spare fuses and bulbs. You're going to pull them out and show him. Even if he's sitting outside on a chair over here, which can happen. You're going to show him. This is where I keep my spare fuses and bulbs. Up here is where I keep my vehicle registration and insurance is present and up to date. Now you're starting back over here and working your way out the door. My floor has no debris that could obstruct my driving. My DOT triangles are secure. They're supposed to be mounted to the floor. You don't have to tell him that. He knows that. Just say they're secure. If I need to use them, I'll exit the safe side of the vehicle, holding them to my chest, facing oncoming traffic. Safe side of the vehicle is whichever side of the road you pulled over onto. So if you pulled over to this side and traffic is over there, this is the safe side. So don't point at one side, point at both sides. So if I need to use them, I'd exit the safe side of the vehicle, holding them to my chest, facing oncoming traffic. My seat is secure and adjusted to my liking. My seat belt latches and unlatches and is not cut or torn. On the side of my seat, I have my ABC fire extinguisher. It's secure, with a pin, fully charged, and up to date. This completes my pre-trip inspection. Now I'm going to shut my truck off, key in hand, exit the vehicle, 3 points of contact, and re-chock my wheels. So you're telling him these things so you remember what to do. You shut the truck off, key in hand. Remember that key's supposed to be in your person unless you have it in the ignition. Exiting 3 points of contact, so you remember, get out backwards holding it with 3 points of contact. And God forbid, re-chock your wheels. Noah, the kid in the white shirt down there, failed on Saturday because he forgot to chock his wheels. So you gotta make sure those wheels are chocked, all right? Bang, bang.